D.Va is a versatile tank. Her boosters give her good mobility, micro-missiles provide some extra DPS, defense matrix absorbs enemy projectiles, self-destruct provides enough damage to wipe an entire team, and her pilot form gives her a second chance before dying. But there's something all of these abilities have in common. They don't provide healing. So why is it that when you check your career profile, there's a healing done statistic for D.Va? This should be impossible, right? Maybe calling your mech counts as healing if you're already missing health? No, it doesn't. Perhaps taking heavy damage when losing your mech counts as healing, since the mech's health is set to 0? No, it's not that either. Surprisingly, D.Va's healing has nothing to do with the fact that she has 2 playable forms. The real culprit is Defense Matrix, which allows D.Va to delete enemy projectiles. More specifically, her healing is a result of how the game deletes projectiles behind the scenes. When a projectile is created, it is assigned an owner corresponding to the entity that instigated its creation. If the projectile deals damage or healing, it grants credit to whoever the owner is. In this case, the rocket is owned by Pharah, so she is awarded the damage. Similarly, if Moira's healing orb heals a player, she is awarded the healing.
Get into position.
So far, this is pretty straightforward, but what if the projectile's owner changes during its lifetime? Enter Genji's Deflect, which allows him to send enemy projectiles back to the other team. It wouldn't make sense for the original owner to be awarded kills, damage, and healing based on Genji's actions. So when Genji deflects a projectile, its owner is changed from the original instigator to the Genji. The results of this ownership change are exactly as you would expect. When Genji deflects a harmful projectile, he can damage enemies. When Genji kills an enemy with a deflected projectile, he earns an elimination. And when Genji deflects a healing projectile, he can heal his teammates. This finally takes us back to Defense Matrix. For whatever reason, D.Va does not simply delete incoming projectiles. When a projectile enters the Matrix hitbox, ownership of the projectile is first transferred to D.Va, and then she promptly deletes it. It's unclear why taking ownership of the projectile is a necessary step for deletion. It could be a technical limitation where heroes are not allowed to modify projectiles owned by other players. Or maybe it's required for tracking the damage blocked statistic. The actual reason isn't too important. What matters is that in this small window of time, D.Va can heal when absorbing a healing orb. Mystery solved. Well, halfway solved. Notice how D.Va healed the enemy Junkrat instead of the friendly Pharah. This is strange since when Genji takes ownership of a healing orb, it heals teammates. Why is it that when D.Va takes ownership of a healing orb, it still heals enemies? The answer has to do with the order in which events are processed on the server. Let's look at an example. If D.Va uses Matrix on Moira's orb as she casts it, it provides 2 ticks of healing. On one tick, Moira heals herself for 1 HP, and on the next tick, D.Va heals Moira for 1 HP. Overwatch servers run at 62.5 ticks per second. For every tick, the game runs through a list of procedures, such as read player input, process damage, update player positions, and so on. Unfortunately for me, Overwatch runs on a proprietary closed source engine, so I can't confirm how the server truly processes game events. But after a week of workshop testing, I've come up with a reasonable guess. Assuming the server creates projectiles, ticks healing, transfers projectile ownership, deletes projectiles, and updates player statistics in that order, it explains the behavior we see. On tick 7038, Moira creates a healing orb, heals herself with it, then the healing for that tick is awarded to Moira. On tick 7039, Moira heals herself with her orb, D.Va takes ownership of the orb, deletes it, then the healing for that tick is awarded to D.Va. If you're wondering why D.Va does not destroy the orb on tick 7038, I'm operating under the assumption that projectiles have a minimum lifespan of 1 tick before they can be destroyed. It's not a crazy assumption since in the past, Matrix could only destroy projectiles after traveling a minimum distance. If there is some sort of technical limitation preventing projectiles from being destroyed on the same tick they are created, the minimum distance and minimum lifespan rules both prevent such a case. So now you know why D.Va can heal. Technically. She doesn't actually cause the healing, she just steals credit from other players. There's just one question that remains. If D.Va can steal credit for other players' healing, can she also steal credit for other players' damage? While I couldn't find a way to do damage with Matrix in the current version of Overwatch, it was definitely possible in earlier versions, as shown in this footage. Just like the healing orb example, D.Va eats the orb after it deals damage to Ana, but before credit for the kill is awarded to the orb owner. D.Va doesn't actually kill the Ana, she just steals credit from Moira. The visual bug of killing a teammate is much more apparent and confusing than D.Va having a healing medal. So at some point between this footage and present day, Blizzard completely prevented Matrix from stealing damage credit. If you try to Matrix Moira's damage orb as she casts it, Moira receives credit for both ticks of damage. This does not match the healing orb example from earlier, confirming they are handled differently. Some interesting footnotes. D.Va used to heal people with self-destruct under specific circumstances, as demonstrated in this clip. This didn't steal healing credit from another player, it provided genuine healing, but this has likely been patched for a while since I could not replicate this. I have also seen claims that D.Va can steal healing from Ana's grenade, but I could not get this to happen. If it was ever possible in the past, it isn't anymore. If D.Va uses Matrix on a Genji-deflected healing orb, then she gets credit for healing a teammate rather than an enemy. And finally, everything said about D.Va's defense matrix also applies to Sigma's kinetic grasp, since they delete projectiles the same way. So Sigma can also steal healing credit from other players. Thanks for watching. If there are any updates on this topic, I'll add them to the description. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more Overwatch videos like this.